JBH Boutique Care offers you a unique exclusive membership in our nationwide concierge medical services network. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Judine Bontemps-Hill. I'm double board certified in family and obesity medicine. We pair exclusive personalized care with accessibility and convenience. A better way for you to receive immediate quality medical care. Whether at our main Orlando, Florida office, traveling across the U.S. or visiting the States, we bring you the best medical care without waiting for an appointment. Become a member today by calling 407-234-5282 or visit us online at jbhmeg1.com. JBH Boutique Care is proud to sponsor Sounds of the Diaspora, music and conversations with artists, and host Dion Parson every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Source TV Radio Network, WTSN, Washington, D.C.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. I'm really excited for our guest this week, and someone that I've known for many years in New York City. We shared a rehearsal room together, but this gentleman has made a name for himself playing with everyone around the city, around the country, and around the world. Multi-percussionist, composer, band leader. Please join me in welcoming to Sounds of the Diaspora, Mr. Daniel Sadownick.
Hey D, what's going on?
I am well, man. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
I'm good. How's things in the city?
Things are good. Busy. It's mad hot, but I'll take it over the winter. So
good. So what have you been up to these days?
Lately, just doing a bunch of different gigs, and I did a year and a half on Broadway, playing percussion for a show that just closed. Actually, it was on Broadway for almost 2 years. I joined like 6 months into it, so I played there for a year and a half. It was called A Beautiful Noise. It was based on the music of the life and times and music of Neil Diamond.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
great. And you say that ran for almost 2 years, and you did a year and a half.
Yeah, I did a year and a half, and it's funny. Last night I subbed for another percussionist at the Wiz.
Okay.
The Wizard of Oz. Remember when Stephanie Mills did it back in the 80s or something? So they revived it and they put it back on Broadway for a limited run. So the percussionist, she was gone for a few days, so I subbed the last few days, which was great.
Okay. How do you like doing Broadway?
I love it, man. Especially if it's a good show. Like a Neil Diamond, a lot of people think it's like, very easygoing, easy listening, but we rocked out, man. We rocked out.
Yeah.
Everybody in the band and the ensemble, and the cast, everyone is just so nice. It was just a wonderful experience. And the Wiz, same thing. I haven't met any of the cast members, but the band is, it's everyone is such a stellar musician and a good person. So it made me feel very welcome. So I love it. I love it. And and you can always sub out and do other things if you want. So it's a good. See, so many guys are doing it now.
Oh yeah.
Gene Lake's been doing Broadway. Daniel
Kenny Davis does a lot of Broadway shows as well. We did Color Purple together. Yeah, I did some of that as well. It's funny, when I first came to the city, a lot of cats weren't trying to do Broadway, but people like Barbara Smith will phone me and try to say, "Hey man, get you a Broadway show, because when you're off the road, you can fill in." And he was right. And I ended up doing a number of years on Broadway, and I got vested in the union. It's really a good thing, because you could sit at home and be doing some of these gigs. Back then, people were still smoking in the clubs. That's one of the reasons why I actually opted to do Broadway, man, because you go to some of these clubs and they were so rough.
Yeah.
And You go do 2-3 Broadway shows a night and come out and you got some decent cash in your pocket and it's not killing you and you're honing your skills. You got to read the show, you got to read the book. Yeah.
Exactly. In this show, in the Wiz, I'm running from playing congas to 16 measures, and I gotta run to the timpani and within a beat and play that, and then run to the glockenspiel and play. It's the music is not. I mean, the music is challenging, but it's more the choreography of how you get to each instrument.
Right.
And when you don't have the luxury of rehearsal, when you're as a sub, you just go into the lion's den.
Right.
It's just boom. So I practiced at the theater for like a month. I would just get there early, like 10 in the morning, and just go through this music with the video, the conductor's video, and just just practicing every motion to get to each instrument smoothly without missing a beat.
Yeah. It's a lot of behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know that, especially as a sub. You come in, you have to play the show just as good as the cat that's on the show. And if you're not nailing it like that, then it becomes an issue as a sub because they want perfection all the time. But it shows your musical proficiency, and which to me I thought was a good thing to be able to do that. So kudos to you for being able to pull in that Broadway, platform as well, because a lot of cats stay away from Broadway. They really do.
Yeah.
But it shows your musical proficiency. And that being said, man, I know you went to NYU, have a degree from there, but can you share with our audience a little bit about your musical background?
Yeah. Ever since I can remember, I think when I was 5 years old, I always wanted to play drums. And my parents would, give me a little snare drum with a clown's face on it and balloons, kind of like that you would buy at a toy store,
Mm-hmm.
And these drums they looked great, but the skins were made really of paper. So you would go through them pretty quickly. And, as time progressed, my parents, get me a little better drum. And then I think like when I was around maybe in the 4th or 5th grade, they got me a real nice snare drum. And it came with this L-shaped little bracket that you could attach very flimsily to the snare drum stand, and you had a little cymbal that you could ride on. And I was practicing the records and stuff like that. And then just to make a long story short, as time went on, going through junior high school and high school, I just started playing drums more and had a drum set when I was 13. And I remember in the 9th grade, I was listening to, progressive rock music like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Yes and Jethro Tull and Frank Zappa. And a friend of mine named Bobby Henry, may he rest in peace, he was a godsend. He was like, Dan, I like those groups too, but check this out. And he gave me a shopping bag of 10 records. And included in those records was Trains, A Love Supreme, Weather Reports, Black Market, Chick Corea's Return to Forever, Where Have I Known You Before, Art Blakey's Moanin', Stan Getz and Charlie Bird's Jazz Samba. He gave me just a potpourri of different things. I mean, he was so advanced. We were all in the 9th grade, and he was like already, like in university, level of listening to music. So he gave me these records, and I just took them home, and I was like, I'm hooked. This is especially the stuff like Return to Forever and Weather Report and Mahavishnu Orchestra. I mean, so I that stuff could be because I was listening to progressive rock so much. That stuff really got me. And then I went back and it said, okay, Wayne Shorter plays in Weather Report, but he was in Art Blakey's and the Jazz Messengers. Chick Corea's in Return to Forever, but Chick's first record that he ever played as a sideman was on Sonny Stitt's Stitt Plays Latin. So I went back and researched all these things. I had this huge blotter that you can write and remove, you can rip off the pages and stuff. And I listened to WRVR. That was the jazz station, 106.7 that we had in New York City. And anytime they played something great on it, I just write it down. Bobby Hutchinson's, happenings. I remember one Bobby Hutcherson record that I love was Highway 1. And McCoy Tyner's, Time for Tyner, and the one that really got me was Focal Point, McCoy Tyner with Eric Gravatt on drums. I mean, this stuff just blew me away. And I just started throwing away all my rock records, I was like, I'm hooked on this now, So that was that. And, I was playing drum set all up, all this time. And I didn't switch to percussion, congas and stuff until I got into my first year at NYU. And I would go into the park. See, at that time, we're talking like, 1979. That was my freshman year. There was just so much musical activity in the village. There was so many jazz clubs. I would go to the park and have my lunch, and there'd be congueros playing there. And I was like, you know what? I want to do that too. And I wanted to be like Airto, because like Airto on Return of Forever's Light as a Feather, he's playing drums and percussion. So I wanted to be like him. But then I realized at NYU, there were so many drummers and there were no percussionists. So I just started, really delving into that more. So I had more opportunities to play. And so I just kind of migrated away from drum set and just went stuck with percussion. So that's basically how it started.
Beautiful. And then at NYU, once you switched, did you study percussion there, or how did you get your percussion foundation together?
No, there was no, when I went to NYU at first, their jazz and Afro-Cuban department and everything is really built up now. But when I was there, it was very minimal. There wasn't even really a jazz professor. There was an orchestra and a band, concert band, and which I played in all those things too. I was learning Bartok's concerto for two pianos and percussion. I wanted to do everything. But there was no percussion teacher like, congas and Afro-Cuban stuff. So I was just learning from records. Okay. And I was learning wrong. But, I started to emulate, things that I heard Santana's percussionists doing, Michael Catabello and Jose Chapito Ares. And my favorite group at that time I was getting into was the Art Ensemble of Chicago. And their drummer percussionist, Famadou Damoye, he played everything. So I wanted to play like him too. So I was listening to all the stuff he was doing and trying to pick up whatever things he was doing on their records. And then, like I said, I was playing them incorrectly, but I was playing them and I was loving it. I was just loving it. When I graduated NYU, then that's when I studied for the real deal at Drummers Collective in Boys Harbor with Frankie Malabe.
Okay.
And Frankie just showed me everything that was folklorically correct, but also he encouraged me to keep doing what I'm doing. New York is a melting pot of all kinds of cultures and ethnicities and people and music. And he's like, he was saying this about himself. He goes, I was born in the Bronx, just like me. And he's like, I'm a New York City type player. I play jazz, I play rock, I play funk, I play polka, I play anything, because it's all here in New York. You can do everything, So Frankie was my angel, and let him rest in peace. And he showed me everything that I am today. So God bless you, Frankie.
Yeah. It's interesting how we find information needed from different resources. You didn't get it in college, but you got it at Drums Collective, Boys Harbor. Those two institutions still exist. The Collective and Boys Harbor is still around, right?
Boys Harbor is not, but the Collective.
Okay.
No, it's not. But the Collective is, and it was a very fruitful time. There was just so much going on, and then if I didn't learn something from Frankie, someone else, who really knew the tradition would show me something, and it was just, you just constantly learning. And at NYU, which was great, because I was still, I was really into jazz. I don't really like that term so much, but I'll just use it for now. I prefer what the Art Ensemble Chicago calls their music, great black music, Ancient to the Future, or even Nicholas Payton's acronym BAM, which is Black American Music. But for our purposes, I'll just say jazz. But you know, I was studying jazz along with my Afro-Cuban stuff, so I incorporated that because I'm like a jazz historian. You put a record on, you know, I know exactly who it is. That's Hank Mobley. No, that's Joe Henderson. No, that's Frank Shaw. No, that's George Coleman. You know, I know the music so well. So to apply it to my instrument, also to use an Afro-Cuban instrument, but also to utilize it in a jazz situation, that's like, that became my focal point, my strength.
Yeah, and it shows because, again, being a percussionist and a historian, you would know who all the percussionists and drummers are, but you've taken it a step beyond to know who's on the records. You know, if you're listening to Miles Davis, you know it's Tony Williams, it's Herbie Hancock, it's Ron Carter, it's Wayne Shorter. You know, same thing with the Messengers. Whichever generation of Messengers, you know, you're listening to, whether it's the one with Curtis Fuller or the one with, you know, Wayne Shorter, or even early on with Donald Harrison and Terrence Blanchard. It makes the difference, and when you deal from an educational standpoint, sharing this information with you know, your students, teaching them how to research that as well, because you and I came up in a time where we didn't have Google. The Google was the library, or the Google was somebody's basement, you know, in their record collection. That was Google. You know, that's how we had to get the information. We had to physically go out and build relationships with people.
That's
right. Get that information. We didn't just show up and say, "Hey, man, can you show me that?" They're like, "So who are you?" "Oh, you're a percussionist. Well, let me see what you got." And it was a friendly exchange.
Right.
And again, the relationship was the basis of being able to get that Google information that we so seek today. We couldn't just click a button and get it. So you came through that platform. I came through that platform, and it shows you're one of the few Latin, I'll say Latin for lack of a better term, percussionists that I know that can cross those barriers and be able to adapt musically and play outside of that realm. I recently had a situation like that when I needed someone to sub in my band just for rehearsal, and it was the person that came in played that part off, but it didn't align with some of the things that was happening because they weren't fully versed in other forms of rhythms, and it's interesting to know because you played, you know, in the 21st century before Fit and Perfect, and brought another element to the table as well, and that's what I think a true, you know, improvisational musician is, someone that knows the foundation but can still add to the situation. And being a percussionist, that's very difficult to do because you don't have that many opportunities to do that on a jazz scene because not too many cats use percussion in their band.
Yeah. See, the thing that I think we benefited from is we didn't have Google and the internet back then. When you hung out with your friends, you went over to your friend's house or they came to your house to listen to records. Right. We didn't play video games. We didn't, we either played sports. You know, I had friends that, did my athletic thing, but I had my boys and my great friends. When you went over to each other's house, he's like, "Yo, check out this new record by, so-and-so by, the Weather Report, man, Tail Spinning." It's just like, and like, hey, wait, Jocko's not on this record. So he was on Black Market only for 2 songs, but Tailspin, this Alfonso Johnson's on this. It's like, so you had a totally new discussion that opened up, So I think we benefited from not having that. We went to people's houses who we all had stereos. I still have mine. I don't listen with earbuds. I need to hear my stuff on good system. And you went to people's houses and listen to records, and you look at the record cut, the album for you read
the liner notes. And not only did you discuss it, you actually try to emulate what you was hearing. Play it again. Let me get that. What's the pattern? I think this is the stick it, and that's what you did. You figured stuff out, which led you to be a better resourcer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is, like, because I started off as a jazz drummer, I know, how Tony Williams is going to sound. I know how Philly JoJo is going to sound. I know how Elvin's going to sound. So when I come into a situation like with Dion Parson band, I have to emulate where I think Dion is going. Like if I know he's going to go to his bass drum on a certain note, and I hit my low conga at the same time that he does that you do that, then it's an ominous sound. Right. So I'm constantly listening. To me, a percussionist's role in a band is to make sure that he's listening to the drummer, because the drummer is the boss. The drummer is the boss. And I have to not overplay and not play around him. I mean, sometimes playing, covering the conversation, but I want to play with you. I know where you're going to go with that. I know where Billy Drummond is going to go with this. I know where Carl Allen is going to go with that. So to me, that's like the most important thing that a percussion needs to do, whether it's in the genre of jazz, but in any genre. You have to listen to the other people. Drummer's the boss, then the bassist, then the keys or guitar, so it's just like, but I got that knowledge because we went over to each other's houses to listen to the history, to listen to records.
Yeah, and that's important. I think that's something that needs to be, it has to be a continuum on that level of how do you just, fellowship with other musicians and learn the lineage of music and the history of the evolution through that process, because it's key to making things happen. Everybody did it back then, and it made for a better environment. Like I said, we didn't have Google. It's like it really made for a much better environment. But it shows when you're playing, you can hear it. Your attention to details is just beautiful the way you flourish and assist the band in being, a more thriving musical vehicle. So I've always enjoyed working with you. I remember the days in our practice studio, just, the few times we could shit together, we had so much fun.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's just an honor to play with you. It's just like, because again, you're not just a drummer percussionist. You're a student of the music, and with your background and jazz and the Caribbean style of all kinds of music, it's just, I've learned so much from you.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, it's a process, and once we commit to the process, it's easy for us to develop and grow together because we're on the same page. We're there to serve the music and to make it better. So that's one of the things we've always had in common. So that's great, man. That's great. But you played with it. Let our audience know some of the artists that you played with, because like you said, you're a New York percussionist, so you play with everybody. You played all styles.
Yeah, I mean, in the jazz idiom, I mean, I have some milestone highlights of my life that I'll just never forget. I played on Michael Brecker's Wide Angles, when he had the Quindectet, the 15-piece. Mm-hmm. So I played on that record. Christian McBride's Vertical Horizon, Nicholas Payton, Sonic Trance, and a ton of different Nicholas records. Pat Martino, tribute to Wes Montgomery, Jane Monheit's records. So it's just I feel blessed that I've been able to do that. At the same time, percussion and jazz is, especially these days in the economic times that we live in, it's we're not hired that much. It's just not the budget. Festivals have cut back on costs and this and that. So I've always been, like I said, I live in New York. I'm a New York style player. I have so many different influences around me: cultural, ethnic, musical. So I've also been able to make a living doing some other things. I played with Taylor Swift for 2 years. I play. We're going to probably go out next year with Josh Groban. I've been doing his band for a few years. I played with Bette Midler for a month and a half in the Las Vegas residency. A lot of different pop acts. Let's see. I recorded for Beyonce, her album Four. So it's just, like I said, living in New York is a blessing because you've got a lot of different avenues. So yeah, I love all styles of music. I would prefer to play in a jazz context all the time, but it's not always feasible economically. You know, if you have a quintet, it's tough to add a percussionist to make it a sextet. You know, it's just the budget's not there. So I do a bunch of different things. You know, I've been doing Broadway. I finished a year and a half doing A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical, and last night I subbed for The Wiz. So, you know, there's just a lot of different things I love to do, and I'm blessed that I live in New York where I can do a bunch of different things.
Yeah. Well, you're very versatile, and you're dedicated to the craft, not only as a percussionist, but as a historian, as an educator, and a keeper of the flame. So that being said, you have some music that you shared with us that we're going to play for our audience. Okay. And the first song is called "Dedication," Urban Scene.
Yeah.
And so let's listen to the song first. Let's listen to it first, and then you'll share with our audience what it's about.
Okay.
Yes, dedication, urban scene.
Yeah.
What's the concept behind that? I love it, man. I'm sitting there dancing in my seat, enjoying those rhythms.
Well, dedication is the very first track from my album, There Will Be a Day. And it's basically a dedication. And in the liner notes, in the booklet, it lists all the people that really inspired me. And there's people in there like Frankie Malabe, Andrew Cyrille. Forgot to tell you, I studied drums with Andrew Cyrille while I was in NYU separately. I studied with Andrew separately because I was really getting into Cecil Taylor and all the free stuff as well. So I studied with Andrew, who's a lot of people don't realize he's such a great bebop player too. So he got me started on playing jazz on drum set correctly. So all these people are listed in the liner notes. Famadou Damaye, Andrew Cyrille, Frankie Malabe. I can't even think of other people, but Giovanni Hidalgo, just so many different drummers and percussionists. Raul Ricao from Santana, just a bunch of different people. So the song dedication is dedicated to them. And then I put together another song called Urban Scene, which is basically I grew up in the Bronx, and the music just kind of describes orally what I was seeing visually at the time that I was growing up. A lot of congueros playing 6/8, playing, Rumba Colombia really fast. And so it's an urban scene, it's a Bronx thing, so it's a New York thing. So that's why I called it Urban Scene. And Rob Argard is playing piano on that.
Okay,
and,
Rob, nice.
Yeah. And I'm playing a keyboard bass on it. So.
Okay, that's your bass. And so there's multiple layers, So these are that's you doing all of that, or
it's all me, overdubbing a lot of different different things. Yeah.
Nice. That's great, man. Let's up sit there and just enjoying it, just grooving, and that's what I like. Yeah, man, playing those rhythms, and the ways it's combined and dedication. It's like this is really nice. You can hear you paying homage to those other musicians. It's well thought out, and it makes sense. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, you've always been a very conscious musician. That's something that I've set you apart from a lot of other musicians. There's some guys that just come in and play the gig. They can play great, but then they go through their thing. But you've always been a conscious musician because there's a purpose behind what you do. So that's how I've experienced you. So I hope I'm right.
I mean, I take pride in that, because a lot of I've witnessed in certain situations, a lot of not just even percussionists, but a lot of people who overplay. And I remember when I played with Michelle and they did cello, she was, you're talking like a woman who's just like knee deep in the funk, And she would always say to us, especially when someone was like playing too busy, or she was like, find joy in the part.
Right.
Because if you think about it, if you listen to Herbie Hancock's records like Man Child, he's got 3 guitar plays going on in Hang Up Your Hang-Ups. He's got Wah Watson, who I had the blessing to record with. He's got Ray Parker, and maybe Blackbird McKnight, and they're all playing 3 guitars, and then Herbie's overdubbing all his stuff, but no one's getting in each other's way. You know why? Because they're all playing their part. And to me, it's like you have to differentiate yourself in a situation. Okay, this is the verse. You know, then there's, you know, especially if it's more of a pop situation. If it's a verse, there's a pre-chorus, there's a chorus, here's a little interlude, then back to the second verse. You know, it's just like you have to think structurally of how you want to approach the music. So that's, to me, it's an easy concept, but it's not always followed.
Right. Well, you're right about it. It's not always followed, but that's one of your strong points. That's what I wanted to say. That I noticed working with you over the years. So it's been easy to do that because you will come into a situation knowing your part and knowing where you should fit in. It's a matter of just working the details out versus like some cats come is like, yeah, I listen to the music, but what do you want me to do, man? They have no clue of what's happening. So it's a different mentality. But again, it goes back to the pre-Google years of us having to build relationships and learn stuff and figure things out. But yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you, man. I mean, like, you know, when someone asks you to sub Broadway for them, I mean, I would never go into the show thinking that I was only 90% there knowing the music. You know what I'm saying? Like you have, you know, it's a responsibility just to yourself to know the music well, and I want to be called back again.
There you go. Yeah, well, the first time I saw Broadway, I remember my buddy William saying to me, man, he said, your job is to go in this sound better than me. He said, not overplay the part, but play buddy and be buddy. He's like, that's your job. Right. So don't go in there thinking Dion Parson. Don't go in there, you know. He said, you go in there and you play buddy, well, you play the part, but be yourself. And that's what I did. And when the first time I played Color Purple, LaChance was the lead at the time. She came and she's like, buddy? And she's like, oh, D, it's you. She said, I knew something was off with that one simple crash. I was like, that's Buddy will never do that. And she came and said, I have to come and see. And she said, it's you. And then she's like, give me a hug. And she's like, I can tell the difference now. Like this a choke and a cymbal that Buddy was so quick at it. And I was like half a second late. And that one cymbal choke gave me away. But it was cool. I mean, I was in at that point. And she was like, okay, I know what to listen for, and it was cool. But I understand what you're saying. It makes a big difference. You just come in there, and it's funny. He hit me up that night. He's like, you missed that cymbal. You missed that cymbal choke, and with a little smile, smiley face. But that was a joke of the night because out of all of the things, everything I did, nobody knew Buddy wasn't there except for the cymbal choke. Yeah. Oh man, it's beautiful. But I want to continue with the music because you shared some wonderful songs with us. Man. I want to continue with this. The next song is titled Bronx 5. So let's play this one.
Okay.
Hi, Daniel. I see that Dion is having some technical problems.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you. We can't see you, but we hear you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's contagious.
Do you want to log back in, or what do you want to do, Dion?
Yeah, I'll come back in.
Okay, I'll talk with Daniel for a minute. I love that. That's such a great jazz rhythm. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and you know, your percussion work is so elegant, and your timing is impeccable.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I really enjoy it. So
Thanks,
when did you record that?
I did it at the old Systems 2 in Brooklyn. They're now in Queens now, but they had the beautiful studio for many years. So many guys recorded there at Systems 2 on what was it? Ditmas Avenue in Brooklyn.
That was a wonderful recording. Dion's back, so I'll go hide myself backstage.
Okay.
It appears that Dion is still having technical problems. Okay. So let me play the third song right now, and until Dion comes back on. You want to tell everybody a little bit about it?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but your video is locked up.
I didn't do anything, but it just kind of. Let me see if it loads in.
Yeah, your video is locked up.
Yeah, you can edit this up, right?
Very difficult. It's in the middle. It's very difficult, but.
Okay, let's play the next song. I'll
do.
Why don't
you tell everybody a little bit about Peths?
Peths was done at the same session at Systems 2, and instead of the Bronx spot had the full band with the sextet and with the two horns, trumpet and tenor, but Peths is just the quartet, just piano, bass, drums, and percussion.
And is it? I'm sorry. Is it jazz, or is it? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as Latin. It's jazz, but it's got Latin to it. So Latin jazz, I would say. Yeah.
Where did you learn all these Caribbean influences? In New York?
Yeah. I like Frankie Malabe was my teacher, and he just knew everything. And
wow.
And it's just like I was telling Dee, being in New York, you have access to so many different people and so many different cultures and so many different ethnicities and music and rhythm. Just the arts it's everywhere in New York. So,
well, that's wonderful. So let's play Peths, and Dion will be back in a minute.
All right.
Yes, that was Pie. Beautiful song, beautiful song. Straight Eight Laughing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and that was from the same album you said, right? As Bronx
Yeah.
Bop.
Yeah, the album's called There Will Be a Day. That was Rob Bargard on piano, Scott Colley on bass, and Daniel Friedman on drums. And on Bronx Spot, we also added Joe Magnarelli on trumpet and Michael Karn on tenor.
Nice. Nice. The Bronx Bop kind of remind me straight out of the Stanley Turrentine Never Let Me Go album. It's, with Shirley Scott and Major Holly, Al Harewood, and Ray Barretto. As soon as you came out the gate with it, I was like, yeah, that's and that organ quartet with percussion vibe.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stanley, he's famous for having percussion on his records, so
yeah,
big influence, and also that's coming out of like and Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers vibe as well.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. And I noticed on our past, you didn't have any voice, just had piano playing the melody on that. That's it's kind of like Eddie Palmieri-ish, that kind of ensemble setup. Nice.
Yeah, and Ahmad Jamal's a big influence for me on that.
Yeah.
On that song as well. And it gives Scott Colley a nice bunch of spots to solo on when we stop, when we do the stop time, so he can play his thing on it.
Yeah. Yes. Beautiful stuff. And these are all originals?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great. So penmanship is it's nice too, man. So a lot of people don't see drummers as percussionists as composers as well. But, we know better.
Yeah. I got a lot of influences, so I like to do a lot of different things with the music.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, man, it's been really nice checking out the songs, Dedication of the Scene, Bronx Pop Path, and we have one more song that you've shared with us that I would like to play for our audience, and it's called Conga Soul.
Yeah, it's a video I did. Martin Cohn, who's started LP. He also, all those great photos that he took that you always saw in Downbeat magazine of, those LP advertisements, LP trust the leader, and you got Dizzy Gillespie leaning on the conga, that's all Martin. Martin, he started LP, but he was also the photographer. He's just an amazing photographer. And when you go to his house, he's got everywhere pictures of all the legends. And so he started his own viral website. It was called Conga Head.
Right.
And he asked me to do a video, and just a solo video. And I did, and then it got a lot of traction. It's been up for a while, but it's got over 500,000 views. And then so a few years later, he says, well, that one did so well. Why don't you do another one? So this is the one I forwarded to you. It's just me doing a solo, but like we talked before about structure, like verses and choruses and pre-choruses and bridges. When I construct a solo, I don't know what I'm going to play, but I do have a sense of structure. So I want a theme that the listener can latch onto, because a lot of times when you see an unaccompanied solo on any instrument, it's just kind of free, and it's just kind of meandering, but for me, especially percussion, because it could get boring if you're just playing, freely and without any real structure, right? Some sort of foundation. So the video you're about to see is a solo, but it has themes in it. And the nicest compliment I got from this wonderful percussionist that I look up to, his name is Javier Diaz. And he said to me, when I see your videos, because he doesn't give it up to many people, but he says, when I see your videos and I see you play, you always have sort of theme behind it. So that's what I try to do when I'm doing my solo. So I think this one that you're going to show the listeners and the viewers, I think I try to accomplish that as far as themes and structures.
Great. Well, let's check it out. Conga Soul. Yeah, conga solo. So you say you didn't know what you were going to play, huh?
Well, I mean, you know, it's like any instrument. You have certain things that you've practiced and that are in your arsenal, but then you don't. But you don't want it to be, you know, you don't want to plan it out. But you have certain things that you can draw upon, and it's just you start with a basic theme, and then you try to, you know, expound on that.
That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful. Very, very proficient and yeah, musical story. I enjoyed it, man. Well, I enjoy it playing all the time. But to be able to just do that by yourself and just lay it out with three congos, and you know, I attempted to play congos a couple times, but that double thing with, you know, yeah, that's that takes some practice.
Yeah. A lot of hours.
A lot of hours, man. Well, you've been putting it in, man, at the shows, and you know, you've made a mark for yourself, a name, a reputation, and I just wish you continued success, man. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to be here on Sounds of the Diaspora to share your story with our audience.
Well, it's an honor that you asked me to do it. It's an honor to know you, and I just wish that we could play together more often. You know, because it's just like it's like heaven to play with you and play your music. You know, you're a great composer and band leader and orchestrator, so you know you've got the whole package as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Before I let you go, share with our audience where they can how they can follow you, your website, social media. Can you let them know how they can follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I don't have a website at the moment.
Where can they find you on the Facebook? What's your tag? Daniel Sadownick?
Yeah, just Daniel Sadownick. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on Instagram and Twitter, but I really don't use those. I'm just not. I just don't use it that much.
Right.
But you know, but my email dsadown@gmail.com, DSADOWN@gmail. So and Facebook is you can always find me there too.
Yeah, and the new CD, the CD that you released, what platforms is it on? Apple Music, on CD Baby? It's everywhere.
It's on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, iTunes, Apple Music, CD Baby. It's you can find it anywhere.
Okay, great. Well, beautiful, my brother. Thank you for again taking the time out of your busy schedule. It's been a pleasure talking with you and checking out your music, man. All the best to you.
You too, D. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. That's the great Daniel Sadownick sharing his story and his musicality and his great conga playing with us, man. It's always a pleasure connecting with friends and family. So he's definitely someone to check out. So yes, we're very excited. We thank Danny and we're very excited for him. And we also have a really wonderful guest next week, someone that I've known for a while. She's doing amazing things out here. So please join us next week as we bring to you another great artist, Sounds of the Diaspora, Miss Akua Dixon cello. All right. Take care. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. Have a blessed evening. Good night.
JBH Boutique Care offers you a unique exclusive membership in our nationwide concierge medical services network. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Judine Bontemps-Hill. I'm double board certified in family and obesity medicine. We pair exclusive personalized care with accessibility and convenience. A better way for you to receive immediate quality medical care. Whether at our main Orlando, Florida office, traveling across the U.S. or visiting the States, we bring you the best medical care without waiting for an appointment. Become a member today by calling 407-234-5282 or visit us online at jdhmeg1.com. JBH Boutique Care is proud to sponsor Sounds of the Diaspora, music and conversations with artists, and host Dion Parson every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Source TV Radio Network, WTSN, Washington, D.C.